Welcome back to the Shifting Gears podcast, and I'm the Junk Man. We have, as always, Skull Crusher on the phone here. Uh, Shifting Gears podcast, where we change topics faster than a Chrysler Tourqueflite. What I always say. We run the gamut of all kinds of topics we like to talk about here, and I want to do a little bit of house cleaning. You're watching on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook right now. We're live on all three. Get subscribed. This is on my second channel, and if you're watching this archived and find it somewhere, tell us how you like it. Leave a comment down below, and of course, ring that bell for those notifications. Same with on Twitch. Give us a follow, and over on Facebook as well. Well, this week, Skull, I guess we'll kind of start off. We'll start off talking a little bit of Supercross, just because we kind of did that last week, and we kind of shifted gears, and then we'll get kind of to our main topic here. But what do you think of Roxon kind of just throwing it away again? Using
Well,
uh, what do they call it? Throwing away victory in the clutches of defeat or something. I got that quote wrong, but anyway.
yeah, I think he, like he said the week before, that he needed to ride more aggressive, and I think he's riding way too aggressive. I think if he'd just settle down and ride like he rode the rest of the season, I think he'd probably be fine.
Well, see, that's the deal. He didn't really need to be that aggressive. Hey, welcome, Nation Squid over in YouTube land. Welcome. And if you're over on chat, Twitch, say hello in the chat as well. Same with Facebook. We can see all the chat comments here, and we'll answer any questions or get some feedback. I like that. Anyway, I was going to pull up, and I didn't pull up our standings, but I didn't do too bad, honestly. I think I got third.
Actually, I think out of the three of us, you probably did the best, or at least position-wise, you moved the most.
Well, right, but still, my moderator, she is still on top in our group, our fantasy racing group. But
she fell a little bit though, but we as a group climbed a few more positions.
Yeah, that's right. And like I said, I was gonna bring it up here, but I didn't have it logged in. I was gonna see where we were at, do a weekly update. But maybe we'll do that towards the end of the stream, because as you can see by my background, gosh, I you'd think from doing this for a couple months here, I'd get my left and rights figured out here, But anyway, as you can see, you kind of have the idea you want to talk about some kind of audio formats and how they've maybe changed over the years. Maybe pros and cons, something like that.
We kind of touched on it a little bit, but we didn't go into depth or anything. And I don't have anything in particular. I just thought it'd be a fun topic to talk about.
Well, let me ask you. I guess where did your audio format start for you? I mean, we're Gen Xers basically, or technically by most standards. So where did you start?
I started with a tape deck, tape.
So cassettes,
yeah.
All right. Do you remember what the first cassette tape you can remember playing? Maybe not necessarily owned or bought, but
actually, yeah, I do. So I think it was my 5th birthday. I got one of those little Fisher Price tape decks, and then
does it have the microphone?
I don't know if mine had the microphone or not. It might have. I know it could record,
so you could beatbox to it,
and
whatever.
And I had Michael Jackson Thriller for my first tape.
Okay, well, and it would have been pretty much brand new then, too.
Yep.
5 roughly.
Yep. Yeah, and we kind of touched on that before. That was like the first music video I really got into, music that I got into. So, um, it was all kind of they were separate gifts, but it was all kind of geared towards the same thing.
Right, right. Um, oh, and we have one of our chatters over in YouTube land saying he or she was just listening to that just today. Actually, in the chat, what since we're talking about what was your first uh, media format, and then what was the first thing you listened to? Not necessarily bought or whatever. I'll give you a chance to respond as we move along here. Um, but let's see. Mine was first thing I ever listened to was actually format, actually 8-track, and I can remember the first 8-track I ever listened to uh, was by Heart, and the album was Dreamboat Annie. But probably because it was like one of my mom's favorites, and it was just sitting there, uh, and I would think I was about 5, maybe 6, around there, and that's when I was allowed to touch the hi-fi, um, and 8-track, I guess, probably was a little easier because I could just stick it in the front, and then of course it had the change track button right next to it. You had that kerclunk, kerclunk, and that's a distinct memory of the first format and first song and whatnot that or song or album, I guess you could say, that I remember listening to. But playing off of that, and like I said, we may have touched on this the last time because we kind of went all over the place. It was a couple weeks back actually, but
Yeah.
what do you remember? Which first one you bought?
No, I don't.
And would it have been a cassette that you bought first?
Yes, it would have been, but I don't remember. I don't remember what it would have been. Back
Okay.
then, my music taste was kind of all over the place. I was still, um, I would say I was still trying to find what kind of genre I liked.
Oh, well, that's a good kind of good thing to talk about because for those out there that are new and don't haven't listened to us and didn't listen, like I said, a couple weeks back, or maybe it's been about a month now. Um, what is your primary genre right now? And then, like I said, we can work backwards to some of the genres you work through.
Um, well, right now I listen to what they call active rock. Basically, I call it heavy metal or
Okay, okay, I gotta
rock.
stop
Rock.
right
Not
there.
all. Not.
I gotta stop you right there because active rock. I mean, I've
Yep,
never
that's what
heard of
it's
that. I
called.
mean, we're basically the same age, and I guess I'm out of touch.
That's the format that it's called on KBPI. That's what they play. It's active rock, and
Huh.
that's what the everything that's been charted when they keep track of the charts on what's number one and whatnot. That's what
Okay.
it's called, is active rock.
Okay. Okay. I would call it heavy metal, or even at times some of that speed metal. Over in YouTube land here, Nation Squid, his earliest memory was listening to Queen's "We Will Rock You" on CD, or their family's CD player. I'm assuming that was on hi-fi system, not just a little portable. But then, or the Beatles' Ed Sullivan performance, as my dad worked media. Oh, that's pretty interesting. So, I, uh, his folks obviously worked in the media, or with media, I should say. It sounds like. Um, Now ours didn't. We're farm kids. Grew up
Yep.
on farms, and I guess uh, well, I guess my experience with media and music is AM radio. Good old A. I mean, as far as radio station, in the shop and in the track. Well, the tractors. That's all they had, if they had radios. was AM radios. So, and it was always tuned to 880, KRVN.
I was gonna. So I mean, before we kind of move along with this, we were talking about my Fisher Price tape deck.
Yeah, see, we
I
just
can
banged
remember.
second gear and squealed the tires back there a little bit. So.
um, well, I was just I was gonna ask, like, when you were like playing with Hot Wheels and stuff as a kid, would you have the music on? Because I definitely did. I always had. I could take that tape deck anywhere with me and have some music going on while I was doing whatever I was doing, playing Hot Wheels or GI Joes or whatever.
Uh, yes. Well, again, like I said, that hi-fi setup, that I stuck that first 8-track into was a combo unit. I think it was a I can't remember the. It wasn't a high end, so it wasn't like a like a Sony or a Technics or something like that. But it wasn't the bottom base. It wasn't a realistic, a Radio Shack or somewhere in the middle. And I can't. But anyway, it had a turntable and automatic, or AM FM and 8-track. That was it. But it had it was stereo, of course. Well, not all of them were stereo, of course, but it was a stereo, and forgive me the terminology, it was a quadraphonic. Anyway, it had right, left, front, rear. It had 4 speaker outputs, and then it also had line in inputs. That's why I'm saying it was more of a mid tier because it had line in for, which is interesting. Usually that was for the phonograph, but it had the record player built in. But you could also, it had line outs too, so it could go to another amp. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was a little bit more like a component setup, so it probably was a little pricey when my folks bought it, and they bought it probably before I was born, thereabouts. But anyway, back to the story. Uh, as I got older, I was able to play LPs, and I would stack, 45s up using the adapter, the automatic adapter, stack about 10 or 12 up, or 3 or 4. About 4, I think, is the max that it could handle without you noticing the motor slowing down. LPs, and then just flip them. Uh, so yeah, but when I was playing and stuff, and eventually that unit uh, went into my bedroom later in life. That was later in life. But yeah, I used to do that. But I guess I bring up the whole 880 and the tractor and everything because, like in the shop or and in the tractor, it's like that's all. That's pretty much all that would come in. The FM stations just on a little traditional transistor radio just didn't come in very good in the building. But of course, 880, you could almost receive that with the radio turned off.
Yeah.
But of course, that was farm radio, which really didn't play a lot of music. But when it did, of course, it was country and old country,
Yep.
and
Yep.
we're talking like Arlo Guthrie and Hank Williams and uh, some of the really old time. But that's the one thing. You were a little country at the beginning.
I remember not actually, it was kind of in the middle. Cuz I was like listening to Michael Jackson, and then there was that when rap kind of started becoming a thing with
Like Run
I don't
DMC
know.
and
No, like MC Hammer and Vanilla Ice,
okay,
and
so the pop
and then
rap stuff.
and then I got into a little bit of Naughty by Nature and
Okay, yeah. It's funny. Our
um
our viewer over here on the YouTube side, or one of the viewers over on the YouTube side, Nation Squid. His dad was a media journalist, so he worked with a lot of music. So obviously he got some influence probably from there, and that's interesting. I've never met anybody who is close to music journalism, I guess. And you read a lot of journalistic music journalism. I don't. I just don't have any interest in it. But I'd kind of be interested from this guy's perspective, or gal, how the how do you get into that? And like, do they just are they just as he was growing up, was it like just tons of like records or tapes or whatever format it was at the time, just coming in and have to sit in a sound booth and good headphones, listening to music all day, and then how do you write about that? I guess I know you read a lot, so kind of what um, the journalistic outlets that you read. What are some of those? I guess.
I only read Revolver, and a lot of it is interviews with the bands, which is what I'm really into.
Okay. I mean, what types of articles or interviews with the bands, like the types of style? Is it more just knowing where they came from, how they came about, or
It
um,
all varies because like if they're talking to an up and comer, they that might be about where they're from and whatnot. But like if they're talking to someone that is just putting out an album, they're obviously talking to them about how that album's coming out.
okay, yeah,
Just different things like that. Like, and then like they do stuff like if Rob Zombie's putting out a movie, they may talk about the movie or whatever, or what he's working on, and
okay,
um
yeah. Well, that makes a lot of sense. Um, I guess, like I said, not being into it, but then so is it? So I guess you could say it's kind of like how car magazines kind of go about it when they're talking about a builder or owner's vehicle that's in there. So it's a little bit like that. Um, sounds like. Uh,
yeah, or at
it's
least that's I at least that's the articles I read. I don't obviously don't. It's a magazine. I don't like all of it. I don't like every band that's in the magazine, but
well,
the
right.
ones that I read, that's usually what they're like.
Now, are you discovering some there? I mean, I with the internet
Yeah.
and social media and well, YouTube where we're here, but Spotify and then just the other social media platforms that gets shared around the Instagrams. Probably Facebook isn't probably the best place, but I don't know. But maybe I'm wrong. I consider that kind of
Um.
boomer book, but
Well, so yes, I a small part of it is discovered on there. Because usually what happens is if I see someone in there, then I'll go to my Spotify and I add them. And then
okay,
if when they come up on my playlist, if I like them, then I keep them. If not, then I delete them. Um, on Facebook, maybe not so much finding new. I mean, there are times they push new artists and stuff, but it's more about following artists that I've already know. Most of my discovery is probably on YouTube. I'm
okay.
just like, I'll just be flipping through and it'll make a suggestion and I'll be like, okay, well, I'll try them.
And I kind of glad you brought that up because you know working back to the audio formats. See, we're obviously not music snobs. You probably could potentially be more snobby about it than me just because you study it a little bit more. But even then, I use that term very loosely. Um, but that's kind of how I discover some things, or how I almost how I listen to music almost exclusively is just YouTube free, not YouTube the paid app. I'm too cheap for that, or at least too cheap for that right now. I guess I don't. I probably would enjoy it, but uh, I guess these old ears, some reason, when I just want to listen to music, I don't care what bit rate it is or sample rate and all that. But I do like listening to all my old stuff, and that's kind of got to be in the mood kind of thing for that. But it's funny. I can be kind of a luddite in some respects, but in this kind of respect, it's like just feed it to me any old way, and uh, I just I just want to. I know the songs that I like so well that I don't have to. They don't have to be as crisp, um, recordings is like I said, like I don't use Spotify. I probably should, but I just use YouTube, I guess. Um, and even when I sort of made the switch to CD, it's like, I mean, I noticed difference in music that I rebought that I really wanted for portability, because I never really had too many cassettes. The only portable format I had was 8 tracks, and I had I mean, you know this. I had an 8 track player in my car, of course,
Yeah.
along with a TV, a little 5 inch black and white, and a CD player eventually. But I still listened to my 8 tracks. Well, and then in the tractor, it was in the cab tractors in the overhead console areas in there. But anyway, that's why 8 tracks. I guess I did have a tape adapter, 8 track to tape adapter. Then I went 8 track to tape to my portable CD in the tractor. So I guess that's why when I just want to listen to music, I don't care about the quality, because I was going from out a headphone jack out of the portable CD player into a tape adapter that's in a cassette tape adapter for an 8 track player. So it's going. You're losing quality 3 times. But it beats the drone of that diesel engine up there just going rah, 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 I guess. And you know those days, so
we had one tractor that was stuck on 880. It wouldn't play any FM. But the one that I drove disc and fields and stuff in, that you could get FM on, and I would listen to 106.
yeah.
And but that was back in the day when they actually played. Yeah, that was back in the day when they played rock music on that thing.
You mean they don't anymore?
No,
Not at all. Not at all.
nope.
I mean, I don't expect them to.
They play only top 40, but back I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, you had the Pepsi top 9 at 9,
rock,
and then they went over to the syndicated.
It's
show,
funny about that Pepsi top 9 at 9. So, somewhere along the way, and I don't know when, because I didn't necessarily follow it. I just remember hearing it when I was younger. But somewhere along the way, they got rid of it, and they went to a syndicated show that of some guy just jibber jabbering with his friends all night. Well, here recently they got rid of the syndication and went back to kind of. It's kind of weird. It's not necessarily DJ'd per se. It's just kind of like I can't even remember what they call it. I heard it the other night. I was listening to it on the way home, but they have you call in and they record your messages and then they put them on the air, and then they were starting to do the whole you call in and vote for your song and stuff again. And it's like, well, that kind of, I guess it just is like, well, that kind of, I don't know if you call it full circle, come back full circle, or just like it kind of went back. So
well, that's what I was gonna say. That's almost like when I first started listening to the radio or had control over the radio, other than like I said in the shop, and it was 880 until we finally did get a new radio, because that one broke, and then put an antenna up, and then we could get FM in the shop, and then it was tuned to the classic rock station, which had just flipped from a country station at the time, 101.5, which I know is not all classic rock. That's the rock station now, right? In your market?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. 101.5. Yeah. Well, and it's classic rock. It's not, there is an active rock station now again, but so we were talking about like the top 40. I don't know if you considered, I don't know if the hair bands and stuff would have been in the top 40 back then. But I don't know how the other radio stations in the country were like at that point in time, but our station would go from playing something like Paula Abdul or Janet Jackson or whoever, right into playing some Bon Jovi or
Well, that's almost kind of like
Guns and Roses or
that's almost like
I don't
how
think
like a Bob FM type station would be.
yeah, yeah, those kind of stations, that was exactly what it was like back then.
Yeah, and now you got me reminiscing. Now maybe our viewer, if he's still watching, could maybe explain uh, some what constitutes, I guess, top 40 or how that's put together. I don't really know, especially back in those days, and we're talking kind of the 80s and even into the 90s. But yeah, you got me reminiscing about that, and you were talking about, I remember, Pepsi top 9 at 9, But then when it after that, or that was more the weekends. What was the syndicated show? Like, do they call it like the open house party and such? Because I remember if we weren't playing our own music at our, at our kind of our parties, we'd have that on. I remember, and that was kind of a
Yeah.
go from, of course, you'd have some kind of dance, well, pop dance stuff, to like some rock, not so much classic rock, and it was kind of that request line, the traditional like request line, almost like TRL, but not MTV. But what was that? Was it Open House Party? Was that the name of that? Am I
Yeah,
remembering that right?
that was one of them. I don't know
Okay.
if there was more than one, but I remember that name.
Now, did 10 hit 105.9 hits 106? Did they syndicate Metal Shop, or was that on something else?
No.
What station syndicated? You know what I'm talking about. It came on after Dr. Demento. I just
No,
remember.
I don't know. I was gonna ask you if that was one with Dee Snyder, but probably not.
No,
I would.
I feel
I
that
don't
came
remember
later.
Doctor Demento, so I don't know where that would be on if it was 105 or 101.5 or what.
Now you got me wondering. Maybe I need to Google it up here a little bit. Not. Let's see. Let's see. Metal Shop radio show. Actually, that goes back to, I think, probably. Let me intro. Probably get copyright deal, but who cares? I think this is it.
Next week on Metal Shop, Twisted Sisters dynamic Dee Snyder gives the feature
Yeah, this
interview.
is it.
We'll have exciting fresh metal from drum banger Leonard Hayes. To purchase a T-shirt featuring Metal Shop,
which has been brought to you by L'Amour, the
only show with teeth.
Yeah, Metal Shop, the only show with
plus
teeth.
$1.
Yep, that's it. But yeah, which one did it? What radio station was that syndicated on? Now that I think about it,
I
I listened to it a
I
lot.
wouldn't
I
know.
listened to it a lot. I mean, yeah, that intro right there is it. But well, anyway, I didn't know if you listened to it, if you remember listening to it. I just have distinct
Hmm.
memories, and like I said, it started after Doctor Demento. It was on after Doctor Demento, so this is like late night because Doctor Demento, I think, started about 9 o'clock at night or something. And I think for some reason I want to say it was um, only an hour long or something. The only show with. But anyway, yeah. Well, anyway, yep, that was it. Metal shop. So anyway, let's see. We're having some technical difficulties.
No, I'm still here.
Oh, okay,
I mean,
gotcha. Okay, well, I clicked. I was trying to look it up, and because it was like, I don't remember. It was like metal shop or something. But anyway, yeah, I swear it was on. It's on the 6th, like during the week, because that I distinctly remember that open house party thing, and we'd have that playing, sometimes in the background, or when we were working on motorcycles and all that kind of stuff. If it wasn't tuned to 101.5.
I
It's
was
been
just reading on Dr. Demento here.
okay.
Oops, and then I closed everything up.
I was not a big
Well,
fan. I was not a big fan of Dr. Demento, but I listened to it, so I know what it is and recognize it. But
see, I don't remember any of that stuff.
See, now here's the thing. We're both from pretty rural areas, but I'd say you're more rural. In a way, you're more rural than me, and that's what I'm surprised. You wouldn't happen to have caught it, just because that's the radio. That's all there is. No TV to watch at that time much.
But you forget we had satellite.
Oh yeah, you guys were.
we
Yeah,
were
you
watching
had.
H.
Yeah, that's right. Because all I can remember is like, during the weeknights at 10 o'clock after the 10 o'clock news, it was Star Trek: The Next Generation, and then MASH, watch that a little bit, but I was too young to really kind of get it at the time. But
yeah,
the reruns of MASH. Well, was it all? Well, it was towards the tail end of its run, I guess, and most of them were reruns. They weren't always. Yeah.
well, not at that
TNG
tour
was
they
new,
would have
though.
been.
TNG, the Next Generation, Star Trek, that was brand new. Those were brand new.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I don't know. It's just the it's just that's I guess just thing I remember.
So I was just kind of thinking about like, so what was your what were some of your first vinyls?
First vinyls. Yeah. Now, obviously, I inherited, or they just became mine. Listening to is my parents' stuff. I can remember the first vinyl I ever listened to was the album Beatles' Rubber Soul. I do remember that. Was the first one, but that was my dad's. Bought new. Um, Vinyl I actually ever bought new, which uh, isn't what you'd think it would be. It is, and I could run and get it real quick, but actually, um, maybe I will. It'll be kind of a neat joke. I just gotta go grab it. I'll put this on hold and be right back. Okay, I'm back. That didn't take too long, and it's not gonna be what you think, but well, this one still even has the price tag on it. It was 99 cents, but now, granted, I opened it so I could, take it out and listen to it here, but There we go. Good old focus. Good old Pomida, 99 cents. Yeah, this and the Asteroids one were my first vinyls I ever bought. But to be serious, you know. Well, these are music. We got then we'll get to it. Songs include the Atari theme. Let's see, then Missile Command, which is like a story, and then Zardon Commanders. This one Missile Command's super cheesy. Asteroids is actually not too bad. Of course, you got the Atari theme, which is the same on the other one. Asteroids, and that's the story, and then Time Warp, and that's a very kind of electronic, almost early EDM type music, but it's that one actually is kind of cool. It's very 80s, but it goes perfectly with this cover art and game, which this is cover art to the game. But anyway, but to be serious, the first vinyl I bought was I think it was and it was a re-release, was AC/DC's Blow Up Your Video, I think. I don't know why I bought that one, but maybe it's just because it was AC/DC. But anyway, that let me make sure that's what it was called. Yeah, Blow Up Your Video, because it had the picture of him jumping out of the Angus Young. Yeah. Anyway, that that has Heat Seeker. Yeah, really, that's the only one that most people would know about that album. But I liked it. But that was the first one. But then I never bought too many vinyls, but that would be the first one that I ever bought. And then more recently, of course, I bought some of Greta Van Fleet stuff because I kind of like them, I guess, just because it's a, we sort of talked about that, but it's kind of, a new band though, with harkening back to classic rock, or at least getting back to the regular, what I call regular rock sound. Anyway, but that's it. Bought more CDs just for the portabilities back in the day. But now I can't tell you the last time I bought a piece of music, or downloaded it. I just stream it for free via some type of service, or listen to the radio. I never bought an MT. That's the other thing, is I never bought an MP3. Never ever. So that's one thing I've never done. I've never bought an MP3, and I have never bought a music subscription service. I mean, BMG, where I could buy. That's where I bought most of my music if I didn't get to like a Sam Goody or something. But yeah, that's funny. I wonder how many people out there, now that I think about it, are like me, that have never bought an MP3 in their life. Because I know my moderator wife, she bought some stuff like on iTunes, because she had an iPod, but I never had a music player until got a smartphone, and I didn't get a smartphone until just really several years ago. It was all just CDs, and then like I said, off the internet somehow.
I had 3 iPods.
You have the first one?
I still have the first one that still works. I still use it. Not very often, but I do use it. It doesn't hold much music. I bought it for the gym. It was nice and small. The second one I had, It held 32 gigs, which just happened to hold all my music library.
Okay.
So I burned off all my CDs and put them on there. And I used that at the second job a long time. That one actually did break. And then I bought as things got better, I bought a third another smaller one for the gym. So and I still use them, not very much, maybe once or twice a year, but and
what do you use in the what do you do and use in the car? Or you just listen to the radio?
my phone anymore, okay. And I don't have a subscription. I just use Spotify for free.
For free, so ad supported. And see, that's why it's like, well, I should just even do that because I put up with the ads on YouTube. So why shouldn't I just do the? I used to do.
Well, and it'd be worse on YouTube because it's on every video, or pretty much every video. Oh. Whereas on Spotify, it's like every 30 minutes kind of or like 15
Pandora.
minutes.
I made a kind of a what I'd call a burner account for Pandora back in the day, and I used to do that. In the garage, but when I'm working on stuff now, basically it's just YouTube. But I'm streaming it on desktop, and I guess on my phone I don't stream it a lot. But yes, there's ads. But I don't. For some reason, I don't get them that often even on the phone. But desktop, I use an ad blocker when I'm doing that, and so I almost never. Yeah, actually, I don't get an ad. But I'm streaming via the computer because in the garage I have an old. Well, actually, it's my one from my college days. You remember that Kenwood? That's like a 300 watt amp in there, and some decent speakers, and then I have. 2 like 8-inch just regular woofers, so I have 4 speakers, and then I do have a powered sub that's under my workbench, and listen to things that when I'm working in the garage, like making videos or whatever, when I'm not needing record audio, or even when I'm not making videos, but just music to work to. But then again, I've been listening to more podcasts, people like us, just average Joes, talking about other things, everything from cars to video games to. I don't listen to politics stuff, but pop culture stuff, But then mostly it's music, and I do that, and it sounds really, really good out there. Actually. The way I have my garage set up, the acoustics are pretty good, actually. Anyhow,
see, and then and that's where I guess I'm a little different, but I don't have a garage like yours. My workspace is a lot different, and so I have a Bluetooth speaker that I got it from Skull Candy. And it's water resistant. It's not waterproof, but it just being one speaker has a really good sound to it, and I take that everywhere.
Okay, yeah, and I have a Bluetooth speaker. When I'm working outside on projects, I do take that, and I like that. But me, I work in my garage quite a bit, so. So I'm primarily in there, and so I have it set up, like I said, really. So it's got a nice sound. Like I said, I do have an old subwoofer and amp that I've been thinking about building a power supply that can drive the amp, so I could have that, but then. The way my garage is set up for the house, it would probably shake parts and things in the house if I did that. It's an old 12-inch. I forget what brand. 12-inch sub with I think like a 500 watt amp on it or something. Just in a sealed box, nothing super special. Well, actually, you remember the trailer house? Remember how we used to bring the car
Yeah.
battery in there and then take the subs out of I don't know whose car they were. Was it Tom's at the time? Well, somebody's anyway, and just had them sitting there over by the TV. I don't know if you remember that. We used to do that, or maybe they were out of Redline's 300Z, but because that car battery that run them for a couple hours.
No, I don't remember that one.
Hold on, then.
But it would sound something like you would have probably ripped it out of Derek's car.
Yeah. Let me. I might even have some video of that if I go back in my archive. I have to turn this in. Let me. I'll have to. You can see it. And no, the VHS footage is too grainy. Nope, I thought I did, but nope. I thought I did. I'd put it up if I did, but no, yeah, you can't see it back there, I thought. But yeah, we used to do that. We used to do that, God, when we were in high school, too. Even kind of stuff. Like out when we were camping down along the river and stuff, way a ways from civilization. Party on wheels. But yeah, well, anyways, I don't know. I guess we're coming up on about an hour here. I don't know. We're kind of running out of some gas, and we might want to.
Well,
I hate to shift
I
gears
guess we
right
have
now.
one. Well, I was gonna say we have one more to cover, or one that I wanted to cover.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. Yeah, I mean,
so let's finish this part of the discussion up with your first CD and what you remember about that.
Okay, the first CD was a rebought Beatles Rubber Soul. Yeah, because that was the first record I remember playing. That's the first CD I ever acquired. Second, but I can remembering the second one. The Rubber Soul CD, bought it at a store called Media Play, which that was out in the Denver area. I bought that because we didn't have those stores back there. But then signed up, well, through a friend, obviously, and I got well, my first CD was AC/DC's High Voltage. That album. That was the second. That was the second CD I ever owned. Actually, now that I think about it, I don't even have that here. You know what? That's still stuck. Well, it's not stuck. I mean, I can get it out, but it's still in the CD player in my Valiant in storage. Because I was looking for it the other day. Not really the other day, but like a while back, I was combing through my CDs and looking at the wife's collection of CDs and stuff, and I was like, "Where's my my AC/DC? Where's this particular AC/DC CD?" It's like, because I remember just playing that thing over and over and over. The only song I ever would skip a bit, I wouldn't skip it all, but the only song I'd skip habitually was the Jack on that album. I just that was not one of their better songs that I like, but everything else I just knew the track listing kind of by heart. But yeah, it's stuck in the CD player in my Valiant still. Yeah. I have the case.
Okay, so I guess I never really talked about my vinyls, so I'm kind of shifting gears back in reverse again here, but so and this is why I kind of brought it up. So I don't probably remember the first vinyl I listened to, the first album that I had, and I was given to me, would have been Tiffany's album.
Okay.
And then the other vinyl that I had, and because we didn't have much, I mean, my parents had vinyl, a collection of vinyl, but I didn't have. I only had like a couple albums, so it was like one of them was Tiffany, and then the other one was the Bengals
Okay. Yeah.
with "Walk Like an Egyptian" on it. Because at the time we were like, I just associate that song with like every time I heard that song, every time we went roller skating.
Yep. I think we talked about that, but that was also
Yeah,
my
a little bit.
sister's favorite song. But yeah, I remember that too. That was yeah, and I still I kind of would that the Bangles. That's like the only song you kind of know of theirs. I don't know if I'd call them a one-hit wonder, but
Well, they do. They kind of had a second one.
well,
'cause
yeah, they had
Maniac
other good
Monday.
songs. It's right. That's what I'm saying. They're not really a one-hit wonder, but it's kind of like you only really think of them for a couple songs. I kind of wish they had a little bit longer career. I like I like the sound. I like the group. You know, along with you mentioned Tiffany, which of course different genre, but
Yeah,
makes me think of Joan Jett, and I like a lot of her stuff. A lot of not just the I love rock and roll, but other stuff too of hers. But
so and then okay, so now we can go back to CDs, and so I kind of have I don't know if it's an interesting story, but so like I came back from Boy Scout camp, and actually this was like the National Jamboree, so you had to save up your money and all this,
right,
because you're in Washington D.C., so you had to have travel money and whatnot. Well, I came back with money. I had come back with a lot of money. I hadn't spent it all, and we went down to Norton and went to their Pomida, and my dad talked me into buying a CD player. And then I was like, okay, well, I got a CD player, I got to have something to listen to.
right.
So the first album I bought on it was Def Leppard. I can't remember the name of the album. I want to say it was the one that had Ready to Rock on it.
Okay, let me look that
Let's
up
Get
because
Ready to Rock or whatever.
I have some Def Leppard on vinyl. Because I might have that one.
Well, and I'm looking it up too.
Yeah, I got to see the album cover because oh yeah, I think I have that one. London to Vegas. If Google is treating me right, not the biggest Def Leppard fan, so that's why I don't like know that up.
It was called Adrenalize.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Yeah,
that one I
look.
okay, that one I don't have. All right. Yeah, that one I don't have. I'd have to
And
go
then I think it was shortly after that my next albums were so when I was younger, and this is part of the reason why I was not into, like, I talk about rock now, but I wasn't listening to so much rock back when I was a little kid, and I'm listening to Tiffany and the Bengals and Michael Jackson stuff, but I wasn't allowed to listen to actual rock music or other than what was on the radio until I was like,
because that was devil music.
yeah, I know. Well, that's the funny part is I guess we had Alice Cooper and stuff on vinyl. So
Yeah. Oh, well, see, and I have. Sorry, I have Alice Cooper as well, on multiple formats that were my dad's actually. Yeah, I didn't get heavy into him, but yeah, I'll definitely listen to his older stuff a lot because that's what I had.
But when I turned 12, for some reason I was allowed to, and um, that was about the time that the Black Album came out for Metallica,
Okay.
and well, I was the other Promida, and I was like looking at the Black Album, and then it's just like, well, I can remember thinking this. I'm like, well, I don't know, because I haven't heard them on the radio, because it was, I guess, kind of taboo to play Metallica on the radio. I mean, now they do, but back then,
Well, they
around here,
were
they didn't.
they were that was kind of quote, and on who you talked to before they sold out. I mean, before they were mainstream, I guess enough for that.
Well, the
I
Black
remember
Album was
that
when
too.
Black Album was when they sold out,
Well, right,
supposedly.
but I mean, the pop radio has to catch up with that a little bit. I mean, because
Yeah.
it kind of okay. The Ramones, okay, it took forever before that got mainstream enough, to get played on the radio. I mean that's kind of what I mean. Is like yes, the Black Album was when they quote sold out from their kind of punk and whatnot, whatever you consider.
They were
them.
actually they were speed slash thrash metal.
I was gonna say I've heard different accounts of that, but still it was a while before they play that stuff on the radio.
So I can remember picking up the Black Album and I'm looking at it and I'm just like, well, but this is like, I can't remember what CDs were back then, but they weren't expensive.
Well, they're about $20. I remember that.
Yeah, but it's just like, I guess I was thinking, and I'm sure. Well, actually, no, because back then all I was doing for a job was I mowed our lawn, and then I was mowing my pastor's lawn, so I didn't have much money to spend, and so I'm like looking at this thing, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this Black Album or not. And then right behind it was like Ride the Lightning, and I'm like, well, this is cheaper, and I can't remember how much it was, but I'm like, I'm gonna buy this one and listen to it and see if I like it before I buy the Black Album. So I ended up buying Ride the Lightning first, and then I listened to it. I was like, oh, this is great. So then I went back and bought the Black Album.
Right. Yeah, the funny thing is I don't. The only Metallica I own. I mean, I have burnt CDs, of course, but the only like legit one I own is Death Magnetic.
Well, that's only because we got it when we got the ticket.
Exactly, but that's what I'm saying is I have their music, but not like legitimately. But
I think I have every one of their albums on CD. No, even the hated Saint Anger one.
Oh man,
which I never listened to.
Well, I tell you what, I just recently watched. I think I've introduced you to this guy, Todd in the Shadows.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Over the years, I mean, he's been doing it well. He's got a series, and I think he did it it's like a year old, but I just happened to recently watch it. Called Train. He calls it Train Records, and that was he covered Saint Anger, and it's very interesting to see how that it's stuff I didn't know. I'm not so big into them that I know their all their lore. But that was a very good video specifically about that. although my memories of Saint Anger was when I was, because that came out, whenever it came out, it must have been leading into the summer or something, spring, summer, and I was working at Chief there, and MTV was playing that music video every freaking morning as I was getting ready before I go to work. And I'm like, oh, God, just, oh, I mean, just his voice sounds terrible. Um, the it's it's got this graininess to it. The drums, the thonk 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 thonk, just sound of the drums was just
that's the only thing that I don't like about it is just the drums. The rest of it I'd probably be all right with. It's just the drums. It
I'm
sounds
talking
like
about the one song, I guess. I had not listened to the whole album, but the one song,
it's like
Saint
that.
Anger,
It's like that. From what I remember, it's like that the whole album. I haven't listened to the whole album in a long, long time, but it's like they didn't turn the screws down on the drums. So,
yeah,
so it's just loose when he hits
it. Sounded like when we were in band in high school, and the drum, the community drums that everybody used. That's kind of what it sounded like, just the regular old toms. I mean, the whole kit sounded like one tom, I guess. But rather than the distinct snare and everything, just I don't know. But and the video is fine. I mean, it's just a video. It's a very forgettable video, but a lot of great songs have somewhat forgettable videos. But just his and it ain't even the lyrics. It's not. Just doesn't sound like him or them. I don't know. It does and it doesn't. I don't know. It was. I know there's people out there, kind of a resurgence of people who like it. I think there's a subreddit on. I'm gonna have to find this now on Reddit about it. They call it Saint Anger's Not So Bad or something like that. What is it called? Oh, okay. I thought there was a subreddit about um like thing. Yeah, okay, maybe I can't find it, but yeah, there's a specific subreddit just for Saint Anger that's like 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 Saint Anger fans or something like that. But anyway, that piece that Todd did, I think you'd enjoy his kind of commentary on it, and his take from the research, and why it was made, which I didn't know any of it, so it was all new to me. And I guess looking at through that lens, it kind of makes sense, why they made it and why it kind of turned out the way it did. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously, it's the drugs and the other stuff had the influence on it, as does a lot of bands in the music industry. I guess I don't know. It's just, why did it have to be so bad?
Yeah.
And I can't put my finger on it. I guess it's like trying to describe really just that song. It's just the maybe it's just all in the production values. Maybe it's not a terrible song. It's just the production value or something. it's not there. But it's not like their manager and stuff changed or any of that. I don't know.
I always was always under the impression or was heard that they were just trying something new, and they were trying to find, I mean, not necessarily find a different sound, but they were just trying to find something new and try it out, and it just didn't go over very well.
I guess, but I don't know. It sure seems like somebody would have said, "Hey, stop, guys. This isn't you." Which let's end on this. I was going to bring this up earlier in the stream, but I kind of sidetracked. You remember Luke Mills?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, obviously you should. But I had watched him on a live stream with this guy that's must be pretty big. He's country music and whatnot, and he travels country or has traveled the country singing in different groups and his own solo stuff. But anyway, point is, I watched this live stream, and he kind of, and I was chatting in there, and there was, I don't know, a couple hundred people watching, and a bunch of chatters and stuff. And I had brought up kind of, hey, could you talk a little bit about your journey from, like the After the Order days through Standing Stones to what you're doing now, and all that, and you're talking about they just wanted to try something new. It's like he didn't document his journey, but he said something that kind of was kind of like, well, why did Saint Anger have to even happen? Because he was recording his I think it was After the Order, okay, deal, and that was a very like punkish type feel to it, and he had said he was trying to be, I mean, in his head he was trying to be the Foo Fighters, okay, and his manager or the guy running the board at the recording studio, he was like in Ohio at the time, is what, if I'm recalling the story right. He'll probably never see this, but he could correct me if he in the comments if he is. And he said something like, "What are you doing? This isn't you. You should be singing." Basically, that's how he started in the country, because it was kind of like your voice, your talents are more towards that kind of stuff. And anyway, I guess the manager or somebody said, "Hey, stop. This is not good. You're not going anywhere with this idea you have." And he listened to him, and now he's, like I said, doing what he's doing, and pretty successful at it. Well, okay, scale that up to big band, and you just come off of like drug rehab and all that. Wouldn't somebody say, "Hold up, guys, hold up. Something doesn't sound right here." I guess that's my bad attempt at tying two stories together. But and when you said that, it made me think of that. I watched that interview, and I felt that it's like, well, it's kind of, isn't that what those, your manager, the sound guy, I don't know what of them all are, the technical guys, isn't that what they're supposed to do? Is unless you have a total prima donna saying, no, this is what we want, and maybe that's what was happening. But I don't know. I don't think Saint Anger had to happen. I think just nobody wanted to say anything. Put enough bashing on it. I mean, it's almost cliche. It's almost cliche now to bash on Saint Anger.
Don't they have a movie on it now?
Maybe. I don't know. Like I said,
it's called. I think they do. I think that's some kind of monster is what it's called. Okay. I know. There's a movie about that kind of time era, but
anyway,
I think it's called, yeah.
But yeah, well, anyway, I suppose, I guess we'll kind of that sounds like a pretty good place to stop, and we'll tackle another topic or thought. Maybe let's see, last round of Supercross is this weekend, I think, isn't it? Or is there a couple more
Yep.
rounds left? So we'll see how
Nope,
that goes.
it's it.
I think we'll definitely want to talk about that. See how we end up in the points here. We'll talk about that next week. We'll definitely talk about that, and if there's anything kind of related there, I don't know. I guess I see. I think I picked Roxon to win. Actually, he can't choke 3 races in a row, and even though it's basically almost impossible, virtually impossible for him to win the championship now, unless Webb just doesn't show up. I feel like he's going to just want to go out, end the season on a win, even if it isn't going to win the championship. And then I got Webb picked for second. I don't know, because this is still Salt Lake, and Webb just didn't look comfortable in those whoops. And I know the track will be different, but it's like just didn't look fast in that area, and that's where Roxon had him if he wouldn't, had the race won. If you just wouldn't wash the front end in that corner. But that's that. I got Roxon, Webb. That's how I'm going 1-2, and then I think I got like Barsha in third, because I feel Barsha just got robbed a little bit there. Otherwise, he would have been up there. He was fast enough. So
Yeah, he wrecked a couple times and just had a bad night.
yeah, that's not his usual MO.
I feel better about him than I do about Tomac at the moment.
Oh shoot, I got Tom. Did I even pick him for the top 5? I think I might have put him in 4th or 5th, and that's being generous with him.
So I decided that this is what I'm kind of going with. I'm figuring that Roxon is going to put too much pressure on himself, so I didn't even pick him in the top 5.
Okay.
And I put
it's not a bad way to think.
First.
Okay, Webb first. All right.
I put Webb, and then I put who did I put in second?
Would you put someone like?
Now I'm gonna have to look. I know I put, because I no, it would. I don't think I put Musquin.
Yeah, I struggled with putting him in the top 5, but I feel like his win was. I mean, he should be a top 5 rider, but he's just not in a groove. And I feel like last weekend was just he found his groove, but he's gonna lose it real quick because.
Okay. Oh, okay. So, oh, okay. I put Webb in first, and then I went Tomac, even though he had a bad race last race. And then I went Barsha. And then I put Mustwin and Anderson in 4th and 5th.
Anderson, I didn't.
And I didn't even just because Marvin got he got first, and Anderson got 7th. I could change that. Might think about that, because like Sexton or Plessinger have been pretty good.
Yeah.
And then I didn't even pick Roxon. I'm thinking that he's probably gonna wreck himself out. I hope not, but
I mean, that's not a bad way to think, because look at what's happened. I just don't think so. I think I'm probably being generous to him winning, but I think he's going to want to end on that kind of note, just to show people, like, I still got it. I just two major mistakes sort of cost me the championship, and it really did, because it's like Webb had a few not so great races where he could have lost a few points, and it would have been just tighter and almost come down. Wouldn't necessarily came down to the last race, but I think he's going to want to. But then again, he might just play it safe, and then he could get like third, and
Yeah.
and just secure a second spot in the points for the end of the season. But I feel like he's got something, a little bit something to prove, just to himself, not so much to the team or anybody else, but just to himself that hey, I can not make these stupid mistakes when I have a 7-second lead over second place, or sometimes 10 seconds or more lead over second place. But so that's why I think he might win, and because Webb just hasn't got the starts lately.
Well, he did last weekend.
Well, he did, but he's always had to fight up a little bit, and I feel like I said, Roxon's just gonna want to win it out because Webb doesn't have to win. He just can't, he just can't wreck. He can't crash out because it's 22 point spread. So if he DNFs, then of course Roxon wins the championship. But I mean, really, he could cruise in 10th place essentially and still lock it up by a few points. It's like I just don't think he's going to try to win just to win. I think he's smart enough not to try and ride that way.
He's a fairly consistent rider. He knows what he needs to do to win the championship, and
because it's almost like
in the end, that's what's got to.
Well, even
that's
with
important.
The battle with him and Musquin, they're teammates and everything. And Musquin didn't roll over for it. And Webb gave it his all, but I could tell he wasn't going to wreck his teammate, because that'd look bad. But he didn't feel like he didn't get reckless just trying to get those extra 2 points just to say he won it. So that's why I'm thinking he'll probably settle for if he has to settle, he'll settle for second, just to be up there.
The question I have though is so I don't know where Marvin and the Anderson are in their contracts, but where does this sit with them with their team? I think obviously Webb, and I think Barsha probably secured his spot as good as he did this year.
Well, and I think with Gas being quote a new brand on the, even though the bike's just a red KTM, I think he's shown a good showing. So I don't think they're gonna let him go. I don't think they have any really reason to. Even if he didn't do as good as he's done, I think they'd still keep him just because he's got some name recognition for that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Marvin and Anderson have both kind of fallen off since they've had their championships. And then I know Marvin, like they were talking about it on the races last weekend, that he'd been injured. Like this was the last race he won 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And he got injured really bad, and he was just coming back from it. He's still kind of coming back from it. And
that's I think that's a lot of some of these guys. Anderson is turning into, I don't know if you remember him, kind of a Nick Way. He's turning into Nick Way. That's from the early 2000s.
Well, I remember the name. Yeah.
Yeah, where he was, he was good enough to win races. He just didn't have, specifically Nick Way, and it's not like he didn't always have the factory support to do it. He could get top fives sometimes on privateer material or bikes, equipment. Where Anderson, of course, has got factory backing, but he's kind of the same deal. It's like these other guys, it's just he can win. He's got it. It's just he must get seconds, factory seconds or something. There's just something he can't quite get there, and that's where Nick Way, I always liked him, mostly because he was a privateer that could hang with the big dogs, except for Carmichael, but nobody could hang with that. So you can't really hold that much against him. But Anderson, I feel, is kind of being that way. He can hang with them if he gets the chances. He's just not getting the chances to do it.
Well, and do you suppose you were just talking about the seconds and stuff? Do you suppose that maybe KTM kind of threw their support more behind the Gas brand and maybe pulled it back on the others?
Well,
Uh,
I haven't read anything enough to really formulate a concrete opinion, but I can see how you could say that, because the Husqvarnas, it seems like, do get treated second fiddle to the KTM, even though they own them. And I think the whole gas thing is, nobody knows what gas is, or did know. Mainstream.
well, and
Hell,
that you like I
until the late '90s.
I only really knew of the name other than like your trials bike.
Well, that's
when
it.
You got it, but
early 2000s. I didn't know what it was, or that they were a big name in the enduro stuff. So I'm almost wondering if they just wanted to, because they just recently acquired it, punch it up and make it a look like an attainable, build it into attainable boutique, make it look like a more, say this, attainable boutique brand, or a more gritty boutique brand. Because you have KTM over here, which, it had a rocky startup until they basically got their suspensions figured out, and then now they're seen as the company that has almost a bike for every single person, off-road bike for every single person imaginable. They have so many models, so I think they've kind of gotten diluted that way. And then Husqvarna is just kind of sitting over here as the brand that the old farts know, kind of. It's not really a younger brand, perceived that way. I think Gas is this new thing. It can be the new cool kids brand, is maybe. So yeah, I can see how you could see that as they maybe threw more swing that way to them. But it's interesting.
Well, and like their commercials, I don't know about you, but that song kind of makes me think of Baja California, or not Baja Mexico, and like the Baja 1000 and stuff,
right? And I think that's what they're kind of going for. And you know what, I really like it, because it even though the bikes are at this level, it's like kind of virtually equal in a way. It's really comes down to the rider, as it should be in this level of the sport. But I like that it isn't just the big four, Japanese bikes duking it out, because again, it got kind of boring there for a while, because I mean, Carmichael pretty much proved it. Some of the other guys proved it, that it didn't matter what color their bike was. They're gonna win or do well on it, because they have the talent. It isn't like back in the early days where, yeah, there was a big difference between that 1970 Husqvarna and a 1970 Yamaha or Kawasaki, type of deal. So, yeah, it's just interesting how that's come around. That, and I like seeing the different brands there that all have viable equipment if you want to go racing,
Well, and they still talk about this could be true. It's just kind of hard to really tell, but they talk about how that top 8 is just like so competitive. There's not not one
Well,
guy that sticks out like a Carmichael or a McGrath or anything,
exactly, and
and
it
that's
comes down to that starts. You know, the guy that, I mean, look, we've seen Aaron Plessinger, kind of a, I don't want to say he's a nobody, but you know, he's not the first person that you see or you think of that it's like, oh man, this guy's fast, you know. But no, he is. He's fast. You know, they're just all fast these days.
well, didn't he win? And didn't he win one of the 250s when he was in
Yeah,
the
he
250s?
did. Yeah, I mean, but I don't know.
So I mean, like he was somewhat a champion, but when he made this step up, he didn't translate necessarily as well as some of the others had.
Well, right, but I mean, you can say
per
that with
se.
Dean Wilson, Cian Cerullo.
Well,
You know, they
well,
were
and that's
supposed to be
what-
the next best thing. They were supposed to be the
Yeah,
next
but-
Villapotos and I don't know if you'd say Carmichael, but at least the next Villapoto. You know, and they kind of bombed out. You know, but that's why I like Cooper Webb so much. I guess.
but AC hasn't really ever you know, he was always, even in the 250s, he was always supposed to be really, really great. And you could say, well, yeah, but he also wrecks out every year. And then, but I mean, that's also some of it too. Maybe his racing style, he does just.
Well, I feel like he or his manager or someone, they were trying to get a modern day. I felt like they were trying to market him like the modern day Travis Pastrana when he was young, when he was still racing. You know, this you know, squeaky clean and squeaky voiced kid that yeah, you know, motorcycles, you know, kind of thing. And yes, his personality is that, but the results just weren't there. Like, you know, like a Pastrana-esque type rider who could just get on just about anything, and he couldn't win. He'd put on a good show doing it, and he just wasn't there. Because I mean, Kawasaki sunk money into him in the marketing and everything, and then he just kind of didn't go anywhere. You know, he was this great big Loretta Lynn's winner, you know, in the amateurs and coming up, but just never materialized. I feel Dean Wilson was kind of that way too, and I like old Dino, but it's like something. I guess there's just not enough room on the top. They're just all too good, you know. And somebody's got to lose, you know.
Well, and you know, speaking of Dino, so like I think wasn't he a year ahead of Villapoto? That was kind of a problem. So they had Kawasaki and the 250s at that time had Dino, had Villapoto, and there was a third rider. I can't remember who, off the top of my head, but and then they were all about the same age. I think there was like a year or two that they came up, you know, apart from each other.
Right.
So like Villapoto, when he came up, I think the first year he wasn't the greatest, but then the next year he came out and then he started winning.
Yeah.
But he had a shorter reign, well, compared to like Carmichael and McGrath. He only had a couple seasons and then the concussions got him.
Yeah. Well, I know, and that's the thing of it these days.
Which speaking of that, I was really shocked to hear about Martin Dovlos.
Mm.
I guess I've, even in the 250s, kind of really liked him, and
yeah, he was. Yeah,
I was kind of hoping that he would maybe do. You know, he was kind of one of the ones. Not that I have anybody that I necessarily hate in the 450s. It's not like the battles between like Carmichael and Reed or McGrath and Emig or
or like David or somebody like David Villeman, you know.
Yeah, where he had I mean, he kind of had a side that you wanted to root for and one that you didn't. I like these and it's been this way for a while. It's like I don't really hate any of them.
Well, that's
or I
it.
don't. Or I shouldn't say hate, but I don't really.
Root against, you know.
Yeah, root against any of them. I'm just happy to see any of them win. So.
Right. I mean, probably the only guy I sort of root against once in a while is, or I used to, I should say, was Malcolm Stewart, because he had a little bit, maybe just because James, you know, because of his brother, but now he's really settled into his own. And like I said, I kind of like it when I see him get up there, just because you can tell now, for the past few years now, he's really doing it on his own, not really trying to make his name, you know, ride off his brother's coattails. I guess that's why I didn't like him so much in the beginning, is because they gave him TV time when he didn't really quite deserve it. I mean, kind of like, but not as bad as Alessi, I guess. So he was never that bad. But now it's like, it's neat to see him up there battling for it like he always could have been. Just competition.
Yeah.
So
well, now he's one of the guys in the top 8 that make it. So
well, that's it. You gotta pick him because he can get up there.
Well, it's like him and like we were saying, Plessinger and Sexton. I mean, those are some of the guys in the top 8. I mean, granted, you're not hearing them. You have heard them on the podium, but you haven't heard them, like, I'd say, consistently or whatever. But those are some of the guys that, you know, like Marvin and Anderson and these guys are facing, that they don't get the good starts, and then they get buried on in the track, and then they got to try and figure out how to get around these guys.
Well, exactly. Exactly, the passing and getting around. I mean, that's Tomac's trouble. He can't get the start, and then he just can't get around. He can't get around a guy like Stewart, you know, Malcolm Stewart. They're just, or even Anderson and Savachi and those, they have a hard time because they're all just that good. But
yeah.
Well, I think let's wrap this up. I think we've been going long enough, and like I said, I'm anxious to talk. I'm anxious to see how the finals go, and I think that's probably what we'll talk about, unless something happens during the week that it kind of really trumps talking about the race and how it all shook out and everything. But this Supercross season was pretty fun to watch. It's been one of the better ones in recent memories to get into. So, all right. Well, if you made it this far, thank you for watching, and get subscribed and ring that notification bell on YouTube. Get follow and set it up so you get notification, because you want to hear us talk about the finals of Supercross and our thoughts. That's probably what we're going to be talking about next week. So anyway, I'm the Junk Man. We've got Skull Crusher, and thanks for watching.